Okay, council candidates, and Byron, I'll start with you. What motivated you to run for this position, and how do you think you can make a difference?
Well, the past 5 years on the Planning Commission definitely have learned a lot, how the city operates, how it functions, the concerns that residents have, whether it's a zoning issue, businesses, zoning as well, new businesses coming in. Learned a lot about what residents and businesses are looking for. And I'd have to say the last year or so, some of the decisions that have been made on the city council got me encouraged, let's say, to think about maybe stepping up and putting my hat in the ring. I think I can bring that experience, and also being from Andover, graduating from Andover, bringing that knowledge that I have to the council. I hope to make a positive difference. I also think that I can bring some business sense to the council, additionally what's already there. I think my business experience of 15 plus years in human resources in different industries, banking and in manufacturing, definitely has led me to bring some experience that I think that the council could use. And I think that was pretty much the reason when some of these decisions that were made, the council last year just really encouraged me to say, well, it's time to step up and run.
Very good, thank you. Troy?
Well, I like how Byron pointed out that he wanted to make a positive difference in the city. I feel the same way as well. My experience is in business, in IT. I'm a chief technology officer, and I bring some IT experience that really isn't present on the council, and we spend over $100,000 a year on it, so it'd be nice to have some kind of accountability with it. But what made me run was more that I enjoy the city. I love the city. I moved here, but like I said, 5 years ago, because how beautiful it is, because the community, because the schools, and what's been done with the city to make it that way. And I really want to make sure that it stays that way. Not to say that we're moving away from that, but I feel like with my experience as an executive in a business, I can help maintain that and hopefully look towards the future to make sure that it stays that way.
Very good. Of course, Caroline, you've served on council before, and so you're back.
I guess my story will go back a few years, but when we moved to Andover 17 years ago, I resigned from a 20-year teaching career, and our son was out of the home, out of college, and on his own. And my husband supported me in my decision that I really wanted to get involved in community service activities. And there was an article in the paper that caught my attention, and so my first real involvement was as a victim advocate for the Wichita Area Sexual Assault Center. And I did that for 4 years, but there were evenings. I did about 3 24-hour shifts, and I would do like 3 a month. And finally, it became to the point that I would be running to a hospital maybe 3 times in an evening, and my husband became concerned. And after 4 years, although it was a very worthwhile experience, I truly had been worn out on that. So I kind of branched out and looked for some other activities that I can get involved with, and I became involved with the senior center, and I met lots of people here in town, and I became involved with my homeowners association and served on that board. And as things went through town and you became to know people and you came to respect and the people that had been a part of this community as it was growing, I really just became interested in giving that service that I might offer on the council. And I felt as though my experience in education and my background would enable me to bring what I consider very strong skills in judgment. Is that a warning, or am I done?
You got 30 seconds.
Okay. My education background just enabled me to know that we need to build consensus, and we need to get collaboration, and we need to have involvement of all the stakeholders in the community. And I felt that I could help bring that together, and I think I have.
Thank you. Ben, based on your experience from serving the city of Andover, how would you prioritize future infrastructure needs? Example, road development, wastewater, and the 54 corridor.
Well, unfortunately, we have to consider all of those at the same time. The Highway 54 corridor is a massive project, and frankly, we're being thrown into this because of the overpass extension the city of Wichita is bringing this way. It is a good opportunity for us, though, to examine long-term, and by long-term, I mean 30 to 50-year range, long-term goals and mechanisms and zonings that we would like to see employed along that corridor. What were the other two? I'm sorry.
We had the wastewater.
The wastewater treatment plant is a very unfortunate situation. Due to our growth, we have basically exceeded capacity. Not yet, but we're close to it. In addition to that, we have some excessively high BOD levels, which are unhealthy, and the Kansas Department of Health and Environment says we need to do something, and we are. We've taken about $1 million out of our our reserve fund from the wastewater department, and are committing that towards some equipment purchases. That will be forthcoming in the next few months, actually. That is going to buy us roughly another 5 years, maybe 10, depending on who you ask, of time, if you will, before we're going to have to be looking at probably what's going to be a $15 to $20 million wastewater expansion. That's an excessively high number that scares the dickens out of everybody up here. However, if you go back and look at all of the rates of the surrounding communities, we're one of the lowest and still are. Third?
Yes, on road development.
Road development. Road development is a huge category. It's require persistence. We've done an extremely good job of being proactive, seeking out federal, state grants, WAMPO money. We've done a ton of projects here in the recent past. We've got a ton more in the future, including 159th and Kellogg, which is going to be an important intersection for us to take care of. Julie?
Wow, he kind of said it all. Yes, Highway 54 is definitely, that whole corridor, something, I know that we have had, as a council, an opportunity to set in on discussions and share with the design committee of what our vision would be for that corner. It is huge all the way from Onewood all the way to Prairie Creek. What do we see as a vision for that corner? Hopefully that will be the vision of future councils, and we can build towards quality buildings and a good quality of life, a good way to get from the north end of town to the south end of town. I know that is a big issue where everybody would like to be able to cross the street. Right now it's a little, you really can't do that, but that's obviously an issue. The wastewater, absolutely, it is definitely an issue, something that we are faced with, having to build this expansion. We've grown through leaps and bounds and have outgrown the system, as Ben said. It is our job as leaders to figure out how to pay for that and do it cost effectively. I was able to travel with Les Mangus last year to meet with senators to try to get infrastructure money for that. It didn't help. It came at a bad time, but there's always, you need to try and ask again. There's no harm in keep asking. Our roads, our staff does an amazing job getting our roads to a capacity where they are travelable, and we can definitely relate to less traffic. I know trash is an issue, but we do have less on our roads now with trash trucks, and that does help our road infrastructure. So
Thank you. Okay, Troy, on naming 3 priorities in order of importance you would like to address during the 4-year term if you are elected.
Name 3 priorities I'd like to address in my
Yes.
4-year term.
Yes.
Well, first priority, and you'll hear me say this a lot, is that I love how Andover looks. I like the way that the city streets are clean. The police do a wonderful job of making sure that there's little crime here. I come from a community in Wichita that was quite the opposite, and again, that's what drew me to Andover. So maintaining quality of life in Andover is one of my very top priorities. A second priority would be to make sure that as we do go under with these projects, that we understand that we can only pay for it with money we have, and not try to raise taxes or mill levies as much as we can. Sometimes some of the things that we're going to have to do to pay for it, for example, the wastewater, it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's just something that we have to pay for. But I'm really against raising money and raising taxes and raising mill levy every time we want to do a project, just to make sure that the projects are one that we can pay for, we will pay for, and we just don't pay more for than we need to. As far as a third priority, I think that communication among the different governing bodies or different bodies that help the city has broken down. And what I mean is between the Chamber of Commerce and the school system and the council, they don't play very well together right now. So another one of my top priorities would be to make sure that we do work together, understanding that we're a single city, and with all of us working together, we can make sure that everything that we want to achieve is achievable. We can bring more business, and we can expand the city, but we have to play together nicely. So that's another one of my priorities, is to make sure that that happens.
Thank you. Caroline?
Well, the quick answer is safety, infrastructure, and the city parks are the top three priorities of budget that I look at every year. But I'm thinking that you may be wanting something a little additional to that. So some other things that I really want to see happen, because those are the things we have to do. Those are the things that we are responsible for. Your local dollars truly are infrastructure, safety, and parks, quality of life, which all those things get addressed in. And as we spin that, we have to look at taking care of the needs, and while we are doing that, with any money that we have left, we hope to begin to address the wants. And we plan a little for putting aside for the wants, and we have some great methods of doing that for the parks. But, okay, so those are my top three priorities every year, and anyone who worked with me on budget knows that. And always we struggle to try to keep within the mill levy, that we don't do any increase in the mill levy, and we've actually done a remarkable job in that the mill levy in Andover today the city of Andover has not raised the mill levy in 30 years. So that means that not just the current council, but all the ones before have really struggled and worked to keep us having the quality of life that we wanted, but also being able to advance the way we have. I would like to say that another top priority for me is that we renew and do again our city comprehensive plan. The current one is 80% completed, and everything that the council carries out is not what I would call a council project. It is something that has been determined by the people. We have the city comprehensive plan that we follow, and these things are in that plan. And after that, the next thing that I would like to see accomplished, sorry.
Don't make me come up there.
Thank you, Caroline.